Hey guys, it's KJ from the scariest movie ever. And as you know, we're living in very exciting times and potentially terrifying as well, which that'll come in the future, I'm sure. Because we're watching the high speed building of the control grid that's coming in the near future. Digital IDs, those aren't off the table. They have a thing called the Real ID, and it's being supported with a strong push all through the states in America. And what's propelling that even more is the immigration effort. It seems to be supporting the combination of digital IDs and biometrics. And of course, we also have the Stargate data centers. The Stargate initiative involves the building out of data centers sufficient to support a complete control grid in all digital monetary system. Let's not forget the Stargate mRNA injections. The proposal for personalized mRNA vaccines for cancer and everything else seems to indicate a plan that they're going to roll out the injection program to be sufficient to implement the Internet of Bodies and continue to lower life expectancy. This is also going to connect with the Internet of Things, where everything, including humanity, will be connected to the Internet. And this will be the final age of man, where we're right on the verge of it. It's being built before our very eyes. Stargate funding also helps support the ongoing global rollout of mega vaccine factories. And with the Doge takeover of Treasury payment systems, combined with the purge of the civil service, all of this is designed to end congressional or government control over financial flow and policies. There's also the social credit system. It looks like the Doge takeover of systems is setting up the infrastructure to start a real social credit system using federal payments. On top of that, there's the crypto push, there's the land grabs, there's weather warfare. We know all about that. So we're in just the first couple months of 2025, and it's turning out to be quite chaotic. One thing that really comes to mind is all of the airplanes. What's happening with the airplanes. For the last few years, there have been many stories about people going crazy on the airplanes, and now for the last several months we're starting to see airplanes crash from the sky, helicopters crashing into airplanes, airplanes crashing into each other on the runway, even some horrible landing situations for some of these pilots, and it just seems to keep on coming. I personally believe we'll be seeing much more of this, more of the issues with the airplanes and flying in general. What I believe that this has to do with is the final system coming into place. It's going to be kind of a prison system. So right now, the Beast system is in the process of, I believe, scaring people away from flying, and ultimately scaring people away from leaving wherever they are. I believe we're being conditioned right now to kind of stay put, all right? That travel isn't safe, so stay put. And this could also be one of the ways that they bring in artificial intelligence into the airline industry. Say, hey, we got to do something about this, we have to fix this, and then do a whole overhaul on that as well, because we're seeing an overhaul on everything here at the end of the fourth age. Everything's changing. The old ways are falling away, and these new ways are being put into place. You can actually go back to the movie The Truman Show, and there's actually a bit of predictive programming in The Truman Show about the airplanes crashing, and it's interesting because it's playing out for the same reason in that movie as I believe it's playing out in our reality now. It was in the movie, it's trying to keep Truman from leaving. They want to keep him like where he's at, and they do this, of course, with a campaign of fear, scaring him from flight to stay in place. Check this clip out.
I'm sorry to keep you.
Oh, that's okay.
How can I help?
I would like to book a flight to Fiji.
When would you like to leave?
Today.
I'm sorry. I don't have anything for at least a month.
A month?
It's the busy season. You want to book the flight?
Doesn't matter. I'll make other arrangements. Okay.
It was many, many years ago where I first saw the quote from Confucius that said, "This world is not ruled by rules nor laws, but by signs and symbols." And that stayed with me, and it stayed with me all of these years, because I find it a truth, a very real truth. And, of course, Elon Musk understands the symbols. I mentioned that earlier. And I have this right here from the man that allegedly designed the logo. He says, "I designed the new Grok logo based on the concept of singularity. The brand mark pulls inspiration from the mystery and power of a black hole." So yes, I could see this as the singularity, as they say, but also as a symbol for Saturn, just associating all the other occult symbols with Elon and with his companies. It makes sense to me that there's a Saturn, which is Satan, but also the singularity. And considering the symbols, I find it interesting that the X from Elon Musk and also this new Grok symbol, or for the singularity, we find these with blockchain, Stellar and XRP, the very same symbols. And the blockchain is coming. This is going to be a part of the new payment system that's coming once there's a financial collapse. But what is the singularity? What does this even mean? Well, the singularity is a hypothetical point in time at which technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible. That doesn't sound good, resulting in unforeseeable consequences for human civilization. According to the most popular version of the singularity hypothesis, an upgradable intelligent agent could eventually enter a positive feedback loop of successive self-improvement cycles, this is AI learning. More intelligent generations would appear more and more rapidly, causing a rapid increase or an explosion in intelligence, which would culminate in a powerful superintelligence, evil AI, far surpassing all human intelligence. To have a better understanding of a symbol or even a word, we always try to go back to its origins. And we're seeing Grok now a lot, of course, associated with Elon and AI, but Grok first appeared in a book from Robert A. Heinlein called Stranger in a Strange Land many years ago. And Grok means to understand so thoroughly that the observer becomes a part of the observed, to merge, blend, intermarry, to lose identity in group experience. It means almost everything that we mean by religion, philosophy, and science, and it means as little to us as a color means to a blind man. And certainly this isn't the first time that Elon Musk has stolen or used or rebranded. If you've seen the movie iRobot, then you will recognize this. Just take a look at the image here. Of course, in iRobot, they had the army of robots, just like Tesla and Optimus. They have these transportation vehicles here in the middle, iRobot, just like Tesla. And then, of course, we have the cars at the bottom. And this didn't go unnoticed. iRobot director says Elon Musk may have ripped off his movie. "Can I have my designs back, please?" Alex Proyas noticed some striking similarities between his 2004 film and Tesla's Optimus, his Robovan, and the Cybercab Robotaxi. So here's a good quote from George Orwell, the author of 1984, a book that most of you are probably familiar with since we're living in something very similar nowadays. "Those who control the present control the past, and those who control the past control the future." So that's where we're at. We're living at the end of the fourth age. They're demolishing all the old ways to make room for this final beast system. And we have some headlines like this: FDA employees who were reviewing the clinical trials for Elon Musk's Neuralink have been fired. So get rid of these people reviewing these clinical trials, because this is what's coming no matter what. Senior Pentagon official announces plans to invest in autonomous killer robots. That's right. Humanity during tribulation is going to be dealing with these robots, all kinds of robots, killer robots, robot dogs, drones. It's going to be a nightmare. And then, of course, we have this story here. Fox News senior White House correspondent warning that DOGE wants to, quote, reboot the whole system. Absolutely. And exactly. That's what we're watching. End of the fourth age, moving into the fifth age, the final age of man, a system of death and destruction and enslavement. Here's something else to keep in mind. Microsoft has a patent for a cryptocurrency system using body activity data, and it's just as creepy as it sounds. But let's read on here. Here's an overview of Microsoft's cryptocurrency system using body activity data patent, which calls for using a person's bodily functions, including everything from their heartbeat to their brain activity. This is IoT and IOB, Internet of Bodies and Things, as a way to perform so-called proof of work for mining various cryptocurrencies. Here's the catch. The patent number WO 2020 060606 even outlines how real-time imaging of individuals' brain activity could be used for the scheme. So we have the 666 here, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is associated with this as well. It's a long article, and it really goes into detail. If you're interested, you can look more into this subject.
A massive economic score for Memphis. Elon Musk will build what he called the largest artificial intelligence supercomputer there is. It's a multi-billion-dollar investment. The city says it's the biggest capital investment by a new company in its history. Ted Townsend, president and CEO of Greater Memphis Chamber, says this is single-handedly the largest multi-billion-dollar capital investment by a new-to-market company in Memphis history. The website says they are working to build artificial intelligence to accelerate human scientific discovery.
It takes data scientists and computational engineers and the top creative talent in the artificial intelligence space.
Well, the company is known as XAI, and the Memphis facility is set to open sometime later this year.
You said you were up till 4 in the morning?
Yeah, so, actually a little more like 5 in the morning, but
okay.
We got the XAI data center or supercomputer center training from beginning installation to start of training in 19 days, which is the fastest that anyone has ever gotten a supercomputer to train.
And is that in that new building off to the side?
That's in Memphis, actually.
It's in Memphis?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's where you were?
Yeah.
I see.
Memphis,
okay.
The capital of ancient Egypt.
Right. Yeah, you're bringing what?
Perhaps that's where our new God will come from.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Many, many years ago, I did a video on the connections between America and Egypt, and there's a lot of connections there. In fact, this right here is the pyramid that's in Memphis, where Elon's moving his new massive supercomputer AI system. But there's a pyramid there, and there's also Ramses, a big statue of Ramses, and this is in Memphis. And if you look at a map of Egypt, you'll find there's also an area in Egypt by the Nile River that's also called Memphis. And even in Memphis, America, or Memphis, Tennessee in America, it's next to a long river as well, and there's a lot of interesting connections to that. And I certainly don't believe that means that America necessarily has become the new Egypt, but it's a spiritual Egypt in comparison is what it's turned into. Just like the ancient evil ones that ran Egypt long, long ago. The hybrids, the coneheads, the creatures, the terrors, the fallen ones. And now we see that same evil system reflected here in America, because this isn't the only place they have pyramids in America. They have pyramids all over the world. So this is a manifestation of that, of the original evil, wicked, fallen system in Egypt spreading around the world.
when that part of my dream hit, I saw a big city, and there were billboards everywhere within this city. It looked to be like Times Square. And I was seeing billboards that were promoting this chip, almost like how we would see an Apple Watch being promoted. Like, people were freely taking this chip. They loved it. They thought it was so great, this chip, because it helped them. This chip helped them keep track of their finances. They no longer needed their debit card or their credit card. They never really even needed to bring a purse, because like there were capabilities with this chip where everything was within your hand. And so it was so easily accessible. I don't know if people were able to talk on the phone like through their hand or how it worked, but it was just like people loved it. And there was a lot of money being made globally on these chips being inserted, and a lot of marketing push to convince people to take this chip and have it inserted.
So it seems like we're being presented this idea that it's inevitable that we're going down this transhumanist AI post-human world. We're going down this conveyor belt towards this future. And I think it's people like you and me are saying, we don't have to go down this conveyor belt. It's not inevitable.
No, we don't.
But if we were to stay on this dystopian, tyrannical, globalist conveyor belt, where does that lead? Like a generation from now, if we don't make a change and they usher in the future that these elites want, these technocrats, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so I would encourage people, if they want to essentially know what's planned in that scenario, to go and read the book written by Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO I mentioned earlier, and Henry Kissinger, called The Age of AI, Our Human Future. So essentially there they frame a lot of stuff as warnings, but if you have any idea into who Eric Schmidt and Henry Kissinger are, and what they've done in their careers, they don't really seem very concerned about some of the impacts they claim to be concerned about to me, but that's just me personally. But there are some things they say in there that objectively do consider careful consideration. So one of those is that, AI will they say, invariably lead to a division of society. Essentially, they don't use this term, but I will use it, into classes of haves and have-nots. But the way they define it is a little different. So sort of this more elite tier would be the people that determine AI's objective function, that program and develop AI and understand what AI does to people. And then the lower class presumably would be much larger, and that is the class that AI will act upon, but people will lose the ability to know what AI is doing to them. And they argue that this process of people losing the ability to know what AI is doing to them will happen because of this phenomena they refer to as cognitive diminishment, which is sort of this idea that's pretty easy to verify. If you stop doing mental math and use a calculator all the time, it gets harder and harder and harder to do mental math. And the same is true for really like any skill that you don't practice. So they argue that because of the convenience of AI and how it's been creeping into our lives, and I think we've seen this a lot since the advent of generative AI, it will become harder and harder and harder and eventually impossible for people to do certain things, including make decisions for themselves, because the AI will tell you where to go. It will tell you what music to listen to. It will tell you what clothes to buy. And essentially, that's their vision. People will eventually lose the ability to make those decisions for themselves or even develop their own preferences without the assistance of artificial intelligence. And so obviously the way to fight against that is to not outsource all of your decision-making and skills to that. And unfortunately, I think as we've seen with the rise of generative AI, people are creating less. People are outsourcing their creativity to AI, have AI make art for me, have AI write things for me. And eventually that leads to a world where in a generation, people don't know how to create art or create music or write without AI.
When the Luciferians speak, we should listen. They know the plan. At least it's all a part of their plan. Everything is a part of their plan here in the beast system. One more reason why you should really be staying close to Christ in these days, and if you haven't accepted that free gift of salvation, you really need to. These are intense times, and there's hard things coming. So we had the warning from Klaus Schwab about the cyber attacks. So of course, Hollywood, through Netflix, releases a new series called 0 Day. And what's it all about? It's about a cyber attack on America. And everything you can imagine is in this. The trains going off the tracks, planes crashing, just total disaster, blackouts, martial law. So there's a lot going on in this series. Just a couple things I was going to point out, because throughout the series, as we find with so many of these movies and TV shows in the beast system, there's plenty of predictive programming and Satan's fingerprints littered throughout. So I'm not going to show you absolutely everything. It'd take a really long time, but you can go check the series out if you're interested. Definitely a form, I believe, of predictive programming of the coming cyber attacks here on America.
Moments when the metro abruptly lost power shortly before all mobile devices were disabled.
Wait, come on. Say hi, Mommy. Hi, Mommy. The next stop is Wall Street. I got you. Something. There's a train. Where are we stopping? We're not stopping.
Dozens of major rail and traffic accidents across the country. As people continue to search for missing loved ones, makeshift memorials have popped up all over the nation for the thousands already confirmed dead. Mike, we've been hearing the term 0 Day.
Morning. Throughout this series, we see signs of the Masonic floor, of course, and you've got the all-seeing eyes, as mentioned, and these are pretty basic for a lot of us, but it goes a little deeper in some points. There's a moment where they show this new logo for this government branch they had to create to fight the cyber criminals. And when you see the logo, you'll notice that it is the American eagle surrounded in different points, which create the 8-pointed star, or the star of Lucifer, also the star of Ishtar. But remember that no matter what name or form a lot of times these things come to us in, it's always the devil. It always goes right back to the devil. He comes with many names, many forms, many looks. Shapeshifter. So we see the 8-pointed star of Lucifer on the logo. And of course, throughout the series, as I mentioned, we find the Masonic floorboard patterns, different scenes all throughout. But there's something else I'd noticed I thought was really interesting, and this goes back to something that Jonathan Kleck has shared with us, which is called the language of angels. And this is something that, since I've learned about it, I prayed about it, I see it, and I've shown it to you guys many times in these videos before, that oftentimes numbers we'll see just out and about, even in media, can lead us back to a biblical translation that actually fits the situation. So we actually have one of those in here. Now, I've actually experienced the language of angels in my real life, and I've mentioned this before. I don't talk about it all the time, but I've had it happen in my real life. I'd mentioned on a live show that I was speaking with the Lord one day, and a lot of times I'm talking to him about the harpazo, the snatching away, and just asking about it. And this is one of those days, and I went to a sandwich shop, and they sat me down at a table which was 622. This was a really cool experience because the Lord really did me a solid on this one. So check this out right here. I've got the first translation, 622. And this is in the Greek, and it means I kill, I destroy, I lose, I am perishing. That doesn't sound good. It sounds like destruction. To perish, to destroy, to annihilate. because that's what's coming for this world. This world is going to go away in fire after the tribulation, completely destroyed. So I thought that was interesting, but wait, there's more. So now I go to 622 in the Hebrew, and it means to gather, collect, assemble, remove, take away, to gather for any purpose, to receive, take away, to remove, to gather, to assemble. This is the harpazo. This is the snatching away. So this language of angels is absolutely real, and the first translation is the destruction that comes, and the second translation is that he will be gathering us and removing us and taking us away. So back to the language of angels in reference to this series, they end up getting these old school radios, and they find a frequency that the terrorists, the cyber criminals, that they contact each other on. So the bad guys are on this channel, and the number is 1140. So when I looked up 1140 and the meaning in the Bible, and you look at the Greek and the Hebrew, right? I looked that up, and sure enough, this is what I found. So the bad guys are communicating, the evil ones are communicating on a frequency that means demons. So the bad guys, the enemies, are contacting each other on a frequency, on a number that means demons. And something else I found really interesting is in this movie, Robert De Niro is actually the ex-president, but he comes in to help. And the actual president is a black female. And this was produced, of course, a while back. So I'm assuming that the people that created this were assuming that the camel, or Kamala, was going to become the president, which, of course, as we all know, would be a complete and total nightmare, for sure. Like right up front, complete and total nightmare. So, of course, in this movie, we have the black female president. They also did this in another movie coming out called G20, which has a black female president. So I think a lot of this was programming for a Kamala presidency. And well, my friends, that's about all I wanted to show you in today's video. So as always, thank you very much for watching. And the big message is this: you're living in the end times. We're at the doorstep of tribulation, and Satan's going to be taking control of this whole system for 7 years. It's going to be horrible. You don't want to be here for it. We were warned in the Bible about these days. So please, choose Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, and draw close to Him in these days. That's for all of us, even myself. There's very serious spiritual warfare taking place right now, and the deception is thick. And there's great delusions everywhere. So the only way you can really make it in these kinds of times is with those spiritual eyes to see, to truly understand what's going on in this system and what's happening, and not to get swept up in any of the movements taking place here, worldly movements. Keep your eyes on Christ, guys. That's where we're heading. We're going back home to be with our Father very soon. So don't give up. Stay strong. Stand strong in these final days, and let's try and help the kingdom out as much as we can while we're here. How's that sound? It's all coming down. We're very close. So please, please trust in Jesus Christ. It's the best decision you'll ever make in your life. So on that note, I'll leave you for now. Once again, thank you so very much. I truly hope you're doing well out there. Stay close to Christ in these days, all right? And take care. I'll see you soon.
Feels good to be running from the